the spirit of it being New Year's Day 2026, 1 January 2026, I've decided I'm Tanis Coralee of Seattle. That was already decided for me. And this is the 2025 year overarching theme in my life story, self-definition. And so here I, Tanis Coralee of Seattle, reflect on the 2025 year overarching theme in my life story, self-definition. This included self-evaluations and determining what about myself had changed and what had stayed the same. So, and it was a year of self-definition. It was a year I fought back. I think in terms of just like a lot of like circumstance kind of fighting back, being like, how do I change this such that it does not hurt me, whether or not that is the intent of the people or the things or whatever it is. So really kind of like bracing myself for impact and having the corresponding things kind of set up to, if something, you know, if that quote unquote like stray bullet, you know, hit me, being like, and the proper project to address that impact is what? So if I didn't have that already kind of rolled out, then rolling that out. So that is a very YouTube specific. If you're here in 2025, there were a bunch of projects kind of rolled out, and bringing stuff that like I had done in my life and bringing it to life on screen for you guys so you could be a part of it. So, which was also me of like a way of fighting back and bringing my lifestyle into view. So there we go. There's also everything I have ever wanted to do in my life, I did in some sense and or form during the 2025 year. For real. I talked about travel. I talked about, you know, attempting graduate school again. I talked about my family. I talked about my soulmates. There was approaching soulmate residency. There was like, I did a lot and a little bit, and like, you know, kind of everything I'd wanted to do, I actually did cover in some sense and or form. So that was very cool, including, at least it feels like, I went from physicist to physiologist, and like it's 1 January 2026 and I look good, and I'm like that's my physiology. That's my self-experimentation in cardiology. Like that, just, I think I've had just kind of like getting in control of my body and like its flare-ups and that kind of stuff, and just like I really like cemented in my own self-confidence as self-experimentation in cardiology, and cardiology is the study of the heart. So it was really perhaps the most like technically and confidence building year for that in my life story thus far. And then I promised it I'd integrate this in. So this was my favorite movie, all-time favorite movie, at least one point in time, and this is The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King, 2003 film, my own personal copy. And for the 2025 year, did I remain Pippin? And I was like, yes. And I learned, so Pippin's a hobbit in this movie that very much pushes second breakfast. And I was like, I learned that second breakfast for me actually has like blood pressure and blood glucose importance. So I was like, it's the year where I learned not only am I Pippin, I'm like Pippin, and I'm like, I must be Pippin to maintain my good health. So it was like a really kind of going back and watching this and being like, no, yes, and that took on a whole different level of like, I'm being very serious. So, and it was which is true to Pippin in this movie. He very much becomes a warrior. Did I become one of the other 8 members of the Fellowship? No, I did get confidence, and I am not a Frodo because I don't have a Schmeagol. So I was thinking about who was the world, or at least from my perspective, who was Frodo the 2025 year. And you know, I was like, honestly, Tim Cook, CEO of Apple. I don't know, like the light can be our devices. And then Tim Cook Schmeagol, I'm kind of proud of this one. Tim Cook Schmeagol is Steve Jobs, wherever he may be. He's like, give me the ring, give me the iPhone XS named Neutrino. The gold rings and the gold iPhone XS. There we go. So that's the 2025 year overarching theme in my life story, self-definition.